Hello and welcome to my podcast. My name is Nicole and I'm the brains and beauty behind Yarncraft by Nicole. And today I am filming at my in-laws house in Kansas City, and we got here a couple of days ago and it's been wonderful. It's been great. We went from the Northeast where it's still pretty cold to warm, sunny Georgia that was full of pollen, and now we're in the Midwest where it's kind of a mixed bag of what to expect with the weather. But we're so happy to be here, and I can't wait to show you all of my fun finds that I've gotten since we've been on the road. But first I want to show off my featured make. This is one of my own designs. This is the Honeymooner wrap that I wrote last year, and I'm a big fan of it. It uses sport weight yarn. I also had some of my testers make it in a fingering weight. And because it's a wrap, like, you could really play around with the gauge and make it whichever weight you wanted to. But I love the sport weight because it can, I'm sure you can hear Scoot coming up the stairs. It's very transitional weather-wise, which is awesome. And this bright, fun yellow color is just what you need to brighten up any outfit. So, since we've been on the road, last week I talked to you, or 2 weeks ago I talked to you from my parents' house. We left Georgia and drove through Tennessee, visited some friends there, and are now here in Kansas City. Melody, our daughter, had not really come into contact with much pollen, and I think that was her hardest thing that she had to overcome in Georgia. But it's been such a joy to have this mega road trip and have all of this wonderful leave from my husband so that we got to do this. So because of that, I have had a decent amount of making time in the car, but I'm still learning that I'm not as fast as I was before the baby. Even with a lot of car time, I'm still not as fast as I was. So I have one kind of finished object that I'm gonna be taking part of it out to redo. I do have a finished object, but you'll have to check out the picture of it below because it was the Tunisian Chevron baby blanket that I showed you last time. I legitimately finished it in the car like 20 minutes before we met with the people who I was gifting it to, which might be a new record for me. So I do have like one picture of that, but I don't have it with me anymore, and that will be on my Ravelry page down below in the description. The other item that is kind of finished, Scoot is stretched out on the bed next to me, offering moral support for this podcast. That is kind of finished, but is also not quite finished, was my husband's birthday present. So I think when I talked to you 2 weeks ago, I was very ambitious as to what I could finish for my husband's birthday and my mom's birthday. Their birthdays are back to back. My husband's is on the 9th, my mother's is on the 10th. And I wanted to make them both something. So neither of them had a finished object by their birthday. But I'm gonna show you my husband's because his was almost finished then. And I'm really happy with the way it came out. I do not have a pattern for this. I made this pattern up based on some measurements I had from a sweater I made for him last year, as well as just a reference picture of what I was making. So this is the City Souls Spider-Man sweater vest, and I'm really happy with it. The one problem is that the ribbing on the bottom is just a little bit too short. The actual sweater vest in the game is a little bit shorter because the pants that the character wears with it are more high-waisted, and this is from the Spider-Man 2 game, because it has a little bit of like kind of a punk retro feel to it. But when my husband tried it on after I finished the ribbing, he said that it felt too short, and it is shorter than he typically wears, and I want him to wear this. So the one of the downsides about crochet ribbing versus, and it's like, it's slip stitch ribbing, y'all. It's so pretty. I did such a good job. I've taken it all out. The downside to crochet ribbing as opposed to knitted ribbing is that when you are knitting and you're doing your ribbing, you're doing it the same way that you did the body, excuse me, of your sweater. So you're working it in the round. With crochet ribbing, you either crochet a strip first and sew it on, or you do it as you go. So if your ribbing is not long enough, then you can't just take out your last row or take out your bind off and add some more length. You have to take it all out because you're working it vertically. So that being said, I love it. I think it's great, but I'm not done because I need to redo the ribbing again. But I really love the yarn. I used Illimani's, what was it called? It's in the project page for Ravelry, but it's a cotton and alpaca blend, which I've never used. 85% cotton and 15% alpaca, and it's just so soft. And then the spider logo is, I think it's a cotton yarn. It might be an acrylic that I just picked up at a craft store. Originally, I wanted to find patches to sew on the front and the back, but I couldn't find any that I liked. And so then I thought I would embroider, and I tried that, and just the nature of this project with the way that the stitches are laid out and the fact that I didn't have any kind of backing to it, it just was really hard to get it to be lined up and for it to look good. This is what I used. And I don't think I have the ball band anymore, but I ended up doing surface crochet, and I started on, and I've got a couple of ends poking out. I'm gonna hit them with a little bit of fabric glue and then make sure that they're all tucked onto the wrong side of the project before calling this a finished object for real, and before getting pictures of a minute and all that jazz. But for both the front and the back, I started with the body. I marked it out with some stitch markers and then basically freehanded it. And I really like the way it came out. I did the back one first because it's so large. And I wanted to make sure it looked good. And I'm, like I said, very pleased. I just have to do the bottom ribbing again. And I haven't been able to muster up the strength to do that. So I probably will pull it out within the next couple of days and then just knock out a little bit of it at the time. But it's been a timeout since we made that discovery. But my husband really likes it. That's legitimately the only issue, is that it's not quite long enough for what he typically wears. But I'm very happy with it. So close to being finished, but not quite. So because that has been in timeout, I did start my mom's birthday present. So my mom, I wanted to make her a Pebbled Path cardigan. I've made that cardigan 4 or 5 times before. Let's see. This will be my 5th one. So she really liked mine. She really liked the color of mine. It's a green. And so I hadn't even started by her birthday. I thought I could finish his on the day of his birthday, but I did not. And so when it came time to give gifts to her, I just showed her all the yarn and said, this is your present, but there's some assembly required on my end. This is what it's gonna be. But I actually got it started last night and looks really good. I'm using Winter Glow by Hobie, which is the same yarn that I used for my Canyon crew neck. I'm just using the solid version. I will say it's labeled as a worsted. I'll show you one of these ball bands. It's labeled as a worsted. I feel like it works up more like a DK. So I'm using a size G hook with it, and I just started the beaded section. Bead stitch, I guess. It's not, there are no beads, it's just the bead stitch for the Pebbled Path cardigan. So very excited about this. I don't quite have it memorized, but I have a lot of it memorized. I just went through the pattern and figured out how to do the starting chain and all that last night. But I'm really happy with it. I think it'll go pretty quickly, and I'm excited about it. I'm gonna see my mom in a few weeks for her spring break, where she's gonna come up to New York and visit us. So that's why I didn't feel too bad that this wasn't done by her birthday, because I knew I was gonna see her pretty soon after, and it could be done by then. and she really likes the colors. When she originally told me she wanted a Pebbled Path cardigan, she said either green or red. And when I showed her this green, she's like, oh yeah, I mean, I told you green or red, but really I wanted a green one. So I'm glad I made the right call there. And then of course I've got this cute Hooks by Holt B, I believe. Yeah, Holt B. That I found on Etsy. So big fan of this book and big fan of that project. So those are the only two things that I've got going right now. Finishing the baby blanket was the other big task that I needed to do. And honestly, even with as much time as we're spending with family, I think that was my downfall, is I was like, we're gonna be spending time with family. Other people are gonna be holding and helping with Melody. I'm just gonna have so much time to crochet. No, not with all the things that I still do with Melody, and then also just, you know, we're going places, we're doing things, we're hanging out, and a lot of things that don't necessarily make sense to bring along a project. So that being said, I did do some yarn shopping. So before the trip, we hit 1,000 subscribers here on YouTube, which is amazing. And so I decided to use this trip to pick up some local yarn from some local yarn stores to use as a giveaway for when I come back. So the first place that we went was a yarn studio called Our Yarn Studio in Warner Robins, where I'm from. And I was so excited to go because I didn't have a local yarn store like this when I was a teenager, when I was growing up there, and it would have been so cool to have one. So when we went to visit, there's like a group of people working on projects, kind of all ages, and I was really happy that they had a place that they could come to like this. So we went in to Our Yarn Studio, and I found some great yarn. So the one that I found for the giveaway is actually their shop color by a local dyer. This is Pandemonium Dye Works. I've shown you some of her skeins before. See if it'll focus on this instead of me. And I haven't used them yet, but I really like the way that she plays with colors. It's somebody that like I knew from a long time ago in homeschooling days, and it's so cool to see what she's doing now with yarn. But this is their shop colorway, and it's called OYS, or Our Yarn Studio, and it's it would work really well for assigned pooling yarn or an assigned pooling project. So it's this pretty purple color with this green, and the green kind of fades in and out. It's a little lighter at the top, a little darker in the middle. But the owner showed me a sample that she had worked up in a sock, and it is this cute micro stripe. It's very, very pretty. So this is gonna go into the giveaway for sure. And I'm really a big fan. I think that whoever wins that giveaway will really, really like this. The other yarn that I bought from Our Yarn Studio was from Bad Sheep Yarn, which I think I had heard of before, but I had never seen them in person. And this color just spoke to me. It's a DK weight yarn, and it's called Muse is the colorway, and it's a 75-25 superwash nylon blend. And I'm just a big fan. When I showed Melody, because we took the stroller in there with us. Me and my mom went with MJ, and she was really feeling this yarn in the store. She really liked all the colors in it. So what I think this is going to become is part of a scrappy DK weight quilt style blanket that I'm working on. I've used scraps for one square so far, but I realized that for the size of some of the quilt blocks that I want to do, I would really need a full skein of like the contrast color or the main color, depending on the quilt block. So I think that's what this is going to be, and I'm really happy with it. Like the colors are just like, they're just so saturated and so good. So that was George Yarn. Bad Sheep Yarns is, the owner was telling me, was originally from Alaska, but then they moved to Florida. But Pandemonium is from Warner Robins, Georgia, so couldn't get more local than that. when picking a yarn for the giveaway. The other yarn shop that I went to is one that I've been to before here in Kansas City, and it's called Yarn Social, and it's always fun in there. Like I always find fun yarn to play with. So for that one, for the giveaway, I found this really pretty 50-gram hank of Kim Dyes yarn. There goes Scoot again. And the colorway is Here Comes the Sun. Let's see if I can get it to focus. Maybe yes, maybe no. Here we go. And it is on their sourdough sock blend, which is an 80/20 superwash merino blend. And this is a shop exclusive. I asked the owner when we were in there, or I asked the person who's working, when we ducked in there, what colorways were exclusive to the shop. And they had this whole line that I don't remember there being last time, called Treasure Goddess. And those were gorgeous. There was a bunch of tonals. There was yellow that was like sunshine in a skein. Like it was a little bit lighter than this color. And if I had had a project in mind, like a sweater's quantity of that would have been so good. But I showed restraint. So I got this for the giveaway. And like I said, it's called Here Comes the Sun. And I thought that it would it's different, but not, like a person who likes this color would probably also like these colors. I tried not to go too wild with my choices for the giveaway, but I thought this was really fun, and like 50-gram hanks are just so easy to throw into different projects. And this one will work up really well. It's got a lot of colors in there. Let's see if there we go. Big fan, and so soft, so soft. And then for myself, I might have bought more than I meant to buy. I really have been trying to be good and not buy a ton of yarn, because I'm trying to work through a stash. And like at the beginning of the year, I had a list of projects I want to make with the yarn that I already have in stash. I'm working through projects slower than I used to. I don't need to buy as much yarn. However, when I saw these next colors and knew that they were a shop exclusive, they were actually their anniversary colors for last year, I couldn't resist. I think you're gonna see why. There are 4 50-gram hanks in this fade. And this is from Goosey Fibers, who I've used before and really loved. I mean, come on. Here, let me hold it this way so you can see it a little bit better. Oh, so good. Like I was playing with these colors and I was like, maybe I don't need all 4, because I was thinking I could really just play with these 2. And that would be great. And these were only, what, 15 bucks? Like it's a $30 project. Could be a cute cowl, could be a cute hat, maybe a little bag. I thought, yeah, that would be fun. But then I just couldn't. I couldn't do it. So I don't know what these will become exactly. I kind of like the idea of doing a shawl. I feel like that would be pretty easy to do. And if you have a fade shawl that you like, let me know below if it's crochet. I thought about doing the Rancher shawl by TL Yarn Crafts in the fade, because that one's written for mini skeins, but you could totally do it in a 4-color fade and it would be very cute. Yeah, I don't think this is quite enough. It would have to be a very meshy top if it was a top for me, because this is only 200 yards and I usually wear an extra large. So that wouldn't quite be enough for a crochet top unless it was very, very meshy, but we'll see. We'll see what it becomes. But if you have any suggestions, let me know below. Goosey Fibers, I used their yarn before when I did the Hoist the Colors cowl. I did a 3-color Hoist the Colors cowl out of Goosey Fibers and loved it. So I'm very excited. Very, very excited. Like, I think that's gonna look really good close to my face. Although really, so with that one. I made a lot of projects in red last year and people kept telling me that that was my color, which, I mean, it is, but so are many colors. And that is, I think, all I got for you this week. Throughout this mega road trip, I think the biggest thing that I can't let go of is that we're traveling with our dog Scoot and our daughter MJ, who is 3 months old now. And people keep telling us like this is the right time to travel with her. Like she'll sleep most of the time in the car. She's not old enough that she's gonna get that bored, which is true. The part that they don't tell you is that if you have a 3-month-old and you're doing a lot of traveling, they're probably not gonna sleep as well as they did when they were at your house. And so you might not be able to travel as much as you're used to, because both me and my husband will start the day, and we're used to traveling like 3 and 4 hours straight if we go on a road trip. Like if it's our turn, we alternate. This time, like whoever starts the road trip that day will make it like an hour and a half, and then they're like, I cannot stay awake, I need you to take over. So we're still figuring things out. We've got a little bit longer here in Kansas City, and then we'll be driving back to New York, which will take 3 days. And I'm not particularly looking forward to that, but I think we've got a good plan, and after we get back home, we can start to get into more of a schedule again. With that all being said, I hope to see you back here in 2 weeks. Like I said, leave me a comment down below if you have a pattern that you really like for the 4-color fade. And if there's anything else that I should be checking out here in Kansas City, also let me know that down below. Bye guys, I'll see you next time.